Good afternoon. Massachusetts received $2.67 billion in CARES funds from the federal government to assist in the payment of COVID-related expenses. The state allocated $500 million of this amount for distribution among the 351 cities and towns in the Commonwealth. Acton was allocated $2.1 million. Under the federal guidelines, the monies could not substitute for lost revenues, nor replace budgeted municipal spending, and all such COVID-related expenses have to be incurred between March 1 and December 30 of this year. On May 26th, the Board of Selectmen approved two initiatives to be funded from our CARES allocation. The first was $50,000 for a rental assistance program for Acton residents. The program would provide from $350 to $800 per month for Acton residents demonstrating lost income due to COVID-19. The town's rental assistance program is separate from, but is worked alongside, the United Way of Acton Boxborough's assistance program, which had raised $175,000. The second initiative was for $100,000 for a small business program to provide up to $4,000 each for 25 small businesses with a physical commercial presence in Acton. 43 businesses were deemed eligible by the application deadline of June 15. On June 18, a lottery was held and 25 grant winners were selected and immediately notified. When the town sought release of the $100,000 from our CARES allocation, the Massachusetts Department of Revenue refused. When pressed, the DOR acknowledged the Small Business Grant Program was an eligible use of CARES funds under federal guidelines. We appealed the decision as far up the bureaucratic line as we could without success. Note the CARES funds for the rental assistance program were released. In an effort to keep the program alive, we sought town council's advice whether the town's free cash could be used to fund the program. We were advised we could if town meeting approved the appropriation. On August 10, the Board of Selectmen voted to place a funding request for $165,604 on the warrant for the September 8th special town meeting. The $165,604 would provide grants up to $4,000 to each of the eligible 43 small businesses. With $40,000 of the initial $50,000 of funding for the rental assistance distributed, the selectmen at their meeting on August 24 approved a second $50,000 for the rental assistance program to carry it through the end of this year. Using public funds to aid private businesses is an issue over which reasonable people may differ. In the run-up to special town meeting, the town's Economic Development Committee voted 8-0 to unanimously support the article. The Acton Finance Committee voted 5-4 not to recommend the article, and the Board of Selectmen voted 4-1 to recommend the article. We are well aware of the anxieties and uncertainties experienced by all our residents due to COVID-19. We don't discount those concerns and understand it may affect how individuals vote on Article 4. Bear in mind, we do use public funds to aid individuals and businesses. This past year, we provided $600,000 in property tax relief to seniors and those individuals facing hardship due to job losses and other circumstances. In recent years, town meeting has awarded a 20-year property tax incentive to Insulet Corporation and a 5-year property tax incentive to AES Corporation to draw those businesses to town. With both property tax relief and property tax incentives, we all pay slightly higher taxes to offset the lost revenue. There are some 600 unincorporated businesses in Acton. These include businesses run out of private homes, such as landscaping, contracting, consulting services, daycare, and art and design studios. The Small Business Grant Program targets businesses who meet the following criteria: a for-profit business with up to 35 employees, with a physical commercial presence in Acton, with less than $1.5 million in gross revenue, and a demonstrated loss of 50% or more, a demonstrated loss of revenue of 50% or more due to COVID-19. Local or national chains are not eligible. Here are the 43 businesses to be eligible for grants up to $4,000 each under the program. Every one of us, I suspect, frequents some of them. What this discussion is not is an Economics 101 class that capitalism is about taking risks. The discussion is the risk to the town in losing these small businesses. Acton has never been a box store town. We have no Walmarts, Targets, or Home Depots. The 43 eligible businesses and the many other small businesses with a physical commercial presence in town are a fabric of our community. These businesses give back to the community in their cash and in-kind contributions in support of activities and events throughout the year. Nor is the Small Business Grant Program about picking winners and losers. The program is designed to help 43 mom-and-pop businesses who don't have banking relationships or sophisticated accountants, and the overwhelming number missed out on the federal government's stimulus programs last spring. Beyond the grant monies, the program is a boost and show of community support to say, we care. COVID-19 restrictions will likely be with us for another 12 to 18 months. And yes, some of these businesses will not make it. Remember, too, that by business owners' payment of their rents, their landlords in turn use those rental payments to pay property taxes to the town. For the fiscal year ended June 30, the town had a property tax collection rate of 99.2%. The first quarter property tax payments for the current fiscal year, which were due on August 3rd, show no deterioration. As of Thursday, August 27, the collection rate was 97%. The $165,604 requested from free cash to fund the Small Business Grant Program represents 2.91% of our combined reserves of $5.7 million pending Department of Revenue certification at the end of September. Following these remarks, you will hear from 3 local business owners: Kyra Marino of Revolution Community Yoga, Anita Opitz of Michael's Shoes, and Judi Romatelli of Periwinkle Art and Glass Works on how they are adapting their businesses in the face of COVID-19. Thank you all very much. Well, good afternoon again. This is a follow-up to my presentation explaining Article 4, and this is to put a human face to the question. And I have 3 business proprietors with us for this segment, and I would like to introduce them. There's Kyra Marino, who owns Revolution Community Yoga in Village Works in West Acton, Anita Opitz, who is the new owner of Michael's Shoe on Great Road in East Acton, and Judi Romatelli, who is the owner of Periwinkle Art and Glass Works in West Acton Village. So we've gotten to know each other in the last couple of weeks as we've put the outreach together for Article 4. And the question that these three businesses, along with and these are all three of the 43 eligible businesses under the Small Business Grant Program. And the needs, as I've learned, the needs are different for each business, but each one has to figure out another way to deliver products to their customers. And for the residents of the town who are going to be present and vote on Article 4, they're going to want to know how the grant money is being used to pivot each of these businesses and to make it viable in the face of COVID-19. So I'm going to go through a series of questions to each of the three proprietors. And I'm going to start with Kyra. Now, Kyra, hi. In the face of the pandemic, yoga is basically exercise, and you have classes, and people are doing their exercises in close proximity to each other. How has COVID impacted your business?
So it's impacted it very greatly. We closed our physical location on March 13th. And within about a week had pivoted numerous classes to an online format. And it was a very interesting and quick pivot, but the students in our community were super grateful, just feeling like, especially over time with everyone being isolated during the pandemic, just having that connection with the teachers they're used to working with and their fellow students. And I just got a lot of great messages from students saying thank you so much for keeping us connected. This has been a lifesaver. So it felt great to be able to find another way to reach out and bring people together. But as you say, because we're considered a fitness studio, we're going to be reopening on September 12th, but only able to bring in, about 6 students to the actual studio space. And then we'll be simultaneously live streaming the classes. So it has, a lot of people were able to pivot online, but a lot of people, wasn't their thing, which I understand. So we had, quite a drop in income and attendance, and we're hoping to, welcome some of those folks back in. One of the other ways that we pivoted our business when we stopped being able to meet indoors was to hold outdoor classes. So those have been great. And of course, those can't go on forever. When the weather gets colder and that it gets darker out earlier, we're going to need to, bring those classes indoors. So we've been trying all sorts of different things to keep ourselves alive, keep the community going. And we've just been experimenting and doing our best.
How would you expect to use the $4,000 in grant money to pivot your business further?
Well, first of all, I just want to say I'm grateful that it's even being considered to be offered to business owners. I mean, that's really something. So basically, I'm having one of these fancy new air, purifiers put into my HVAC system, and it's like a UVC lighting thing that will be able to run constantly, so it's safe for people to be in the space while this is running, and it takes care of all sorts of microorganisms, viruses, that sort of thing, in the air and in the space. And I wasn't comfortable opening up until I knew we had that in place. So that's a large chunk of money that I feel like is going to keep people safer and feeling, more at ease when they come into the space. We're also paying for extra people to come in and work and help with cleaning, help with other, check-in processes, and just doing all the steps we need to keep people safe, and buying, air purifiers, PPE, cleaning supplies, and also sort of upping our technology ante so that if people don't feel comfortable coming in, that they're getting a quality product when they take a class online.
Well, thank you, and thank you for all you're doing, and we hope to get through this.
My pleasure.
Okay, so Anita, just by way of background, you're in a somewhat different situation than Kyra and Judi are in. In February of this year, you bought Michael's Shoe Store, which was a very popular, almost an institution in town that had been operating for over 30 years, serving adults and older children. And you bought the business just before COVID struck us in February, and you had plans for a grand reopening of the business at the end of March. Mm-hmm. And you made a significant financial investment in the business, from what I understand, putting in to buy the business and restock it approximately $120,000. What was your impetus for buying the business?
Well, I had been looking for a new meaning in my life for quite a while. My daughter passed away, and I looked for something to bring new meaning to my life, and went back to college, got my bachelor's degree, also got my license in real estate. And then in the process of doing real estate, I learned a lot how to run my own business, and it has been a dream of mine for a long time to be my own boss. So I bought the store.
Have you received support from the many longtime customers of Michael's?
Well, since we were finally allowed to open in June, everybody who comes through the door, most of the people know the store from before, and everybody says that they're so happy that the store still exists. And I know from the previous owners, when they were closing, many people were in the store crying. So everybody was sad to see the store close, and it gives me, this is now the meaning that I was talking about before, it just gives me a meaning to do something that people, like reopen a store that people were sad to see close. I was sad to see it close, and I feel more needed here than I felt needed in real estate, because there are so many realtors out there, and I felt like I'm just one of many, and here I feel I'm someone who can make a difference by keeping the store open.
You brought a crack retailer in with you, a woman, Heidi, who lives in Acton.
Heidi, she joined me, and she is she grew up in retail. She's my store manager, and she has worked in the shoe business. She has a certification in shoe fitting, and she's very knowledgeable with technology. She helped me. So while we had to be closed the 2 months, we used to build a website, to set up the POS system, put all the inventory into the system so that we can track the inventory, that we can run reports. And also then when we knew about the crisis and that people would be nervous to come to the store, we said it's definitely a good thing to be able to show the products online and then even possibly sell online, which is not really what I wanted to do in the first place, because I wanted to bring people back into the store. But just with the crisis, it's definitely a good option to have, that people can order online if they want to.
Well, what in the face of COVID, what efforts are you making to pivot your business to make it viable?
The big I want to get well, I'm not there yet, obviously, but I'm getting as many brands in as possible, and so I want to keep the current loyal customer base happy, but also bring some new customers in. And I know that's needed, because already before the crisis, retail in general was struggling. So you have to think outside of the box and be creative. And so Heidi and I were both very creative. And one thing that I've been approached about a lot is kids' shoes. And so if I can use the $4,000 grant money to open this account, that would be very helpful, because you always have to put an opening order in, and that money could be used to get a completely new customer into the store. And yeah, I'm also very thankful that this is being considered, and it would be something that would really give me a boost. It would be very much appreciated and would help a lot.
Well, thank you very much, and all best.
Thank
Let's
you.
keep it going. Judi,
Yes.
You started your business as a glassware.
Yes.
You've expanded the business from glassware to artwork, and you offer classes to adults and children. And if you could sort of briefly explain the growth of your business and what it is that Periwinkle does.
So I actually, I have been doing stained glass myself for about 38 years. And decided when my kids were younger, I decided to expand out and take it from being a hobby to actually selling more of my work, teaching a little bit, doing kids' birthday parties and that sort of thing. And at that point, I kind of realized that there was a demand for this sort of thing. So I took a risk and rented the yellow building across the street from where I am now. And I was there for about 3 years. While we were there, I was just doing stained glass, and I was doing stained glass classes, and realized the space was too much for me. It was more than I needed. So I opened the space to other local artists to come in and sell and teach. And so what's happened over the last several years is it's just grown exponentially. We have over 100 artists now in the store that sell their product. Everybody is local. That's one of our requirements, is they have to be local. It has to be handmade. We don't do plastic. It's all very high quality art that we have. COVID kind of set us back. We had to cancel all of our classes for the spring and summer. But we've recently started doing them again. We did set up some art packs where we took some of our smaller projects and put them into art kits, and we would sell them online and deliver them or ship them to people.
In one of our earlier conversations, you talked about the reach of your classes, and you do them in, you reach out to children who sort of what you called underserved.
I have developed a relationship with the schools in town. And I have, the schools have actually sent the teachers to me to do teacher appreciation classes. I've gone to the schools to do classes in the schools after school, extended day programs. One of the things that I had always wanted to do was start, excuse me, a scholarship program for kids that couldn't necessarily afford to take classes with us. You know, glass is expensive, so the classes tend to be a little on the pricey side, and I understand not everybody can afford that. So we've had a couple of occasions where we've been able to work with the guidance counselors at the school, where they've identified families that have young kids that would like to come and take classes, and we've provided classes to them free of charge.
One last question.
Yeah.
What would you use the $4,000 grant that you were eligible for?
You know, there's a lot of things. We are spread pretty thin, because, you know, we've been closed, as everybody else has been. We've been closed for the last several months, so we've had very little income from our art pack sales. We had to cancel all of our classes and camps and so on. We would use the money. It would buy us some time, which is invaluable to us. It would buy us time in that we could put it towards paying our rent. We could put it towards paying the little bit of staff that we do have. We could bring in some more materials. We could keep providing the service that we do provide to the community, and just generally keep our doors open.
So Judi, Anita, and Kyra, thank you very much. And to everyone else, please join us at special town meeting at the high school field house. There'll be an indoor seating and an outdoor seating like we had for the annual town meeting in June. We call it a hybrid town meeting. It's next Tuesday night, September the 8th. It starts at 6 p.m. The Small Business Grant Program is Article 4. We hope to see you there. And thank you all very much. Bye now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.